Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you a new feature in the VS Code Dataform Tools extension, which is Run API. So it uses the Dataform API, Node.js API to run the current model or a set of tags depending on what you want to do in the workspace, Dataform workspace in GCP. So I think I'll give you a quick demonstration so it'll be very evident in what it does first. So when I click it, it creates a message called creating calculation object and workflow invocation. Once it completes it, it gives you a notification which you can click here to go to the workflow invocation, or you can click here. So I'll click here, it shows you that it uses the current branch code to create the workflow. So once you click it, it'll go to the GCP and show you what it has run. So if you see here, the code it has run is same as the code we have here. So if I, let's say, switch to a different branch here now, I'll switch to no remote, let's say. And in here, if I just make a change, which is if I change 11 to 22 and save that, and the only caveat with this is you have to make sure that your branch code in the remote branch code is up to date. So for example, right now it's not. So what will happen is when I click on one API, you'll still see the code as 11, which is what is executed. So if I go to the workflow execution, it's still 11. So if I go here, 11. Right, but what we had there here was 22. So to make that happen, well, now we have to just do chore, let's say demo, right? And I'll commit that and I'll push that as well. Once I've pushed that down, the remote branch has the code which is 22. So now once I click run API, what should happen is it should take the 22 as the quantity in the code and run it. So if I click that again, view workflow execution and scroll down, say 22 quantity, right? So that's how it works. You can also run tags. So for example, I think I have a few files in this branch called new. So I have this file which has tag 1 and it has some random code here, and I have a 400 new as well, which has this one as well, right? So I can do run files tags with API. I can choose run a tag and choose 1 and default no refresh. So now this will do the same thing which you had seen here, but with the tag. So now if I go to the workflow execution, what you'll see is a sort of that tag run. So those two files that was there run. Again, the problem is you have to have the code pushed to your remote branch of your choosing. And you can see all the list of all the API commands by doing Dataform and then just do API. So you'll see like run files and tags, run tag, run current file with dependencies, and all sorts of things that you had before as well. So going back to the example where we had to like commit and push, there's an alternate way to do this, which is you can also synchronize Workspace to your local code. So this is currently in beta mode as well. This is currently in beta mode, and you can invoke this by saying Dataform run files tags using API in remote workspace beta. So if you run this, run current file, default, no refresh, you'll see like it shows you what it's doing. It's a bit more verbose in what it does, and it's syncing the remote workspace to local and it's creating a workflow invocation. Obviously, we didn't make a code change at the moment, so we still have the code as select 4 as test. So now if we go back to VS Code and let's say we change this to 9, right? And then let the code recompile, and we'll do the same thing again, which is use that method, use that API remote workspace method, run the current file default, no refresh. It's doing its thing here. Once it completes, we'll be able to see that link shown to us. So when we click that link, we should see 9 instead of 4. So see if that's there, 9 as test. So how does it work? So if I go back one step here and go to Dataform Workspaces, you'll see the branch we were on, which is no remote, should be created as a new branch. The new remote, no remote branch is created. If I go to that branch, if it allows me to click it, open link, a new tab. And what is the file name? I think it is 0400, right? So 0400 new. Yeah, select 9 as test. So what you'll see is once I change that file, so once I change this to let's say 11 and run that, it writes the contents of your local file to the remote workspace. So let me do that again. So let me do that current file, this default, and then once it completes, goes to the link. I'll go back to the workspace, so showing me the workflow execution. I'll refresh this page. What that should do is it should show me 11. So obviously there's many edge cases. You can delete files and you can modify and then revert and all sorts of things. So to catch all those edge cases, I have created a workflow and then coded up the synchronization algorithm to make sure all those edge cases are captured. So in the next section of the video, what I should do is I'll walk you through how the synchronization happens. Okay, to start with, what I do first is I create a Dataform workspace if it does not exist. So let's say if I go back to the VS Code environment, I'll just do a git restore on this first of all. So git restore dot, and I'll create a new branch from here. So let's say git switch dash c, let's say demo, right? Demo, and then obviously the demo branch does not exist in the workspaces, right? It doesn't exist in the workspaces. So if I go back to the diagram that I was showing you, what should happen is I'll create the workspace. If it doesn't exist, it should just create the workspace. So obviously an error would occur if the workspace already exists. So we'll skip that workflow creation altogether. If there's any other error, it will show the user the error itself. So if I show you the workflow creation part itself, so if I just go to this VS Code instance and then just go to any odd file which we created the branch from, and then just do run file stacks and run that. So it's created the workflow obviously, which has the code and everything, but you will also notice that once I refresh this page, you will see that the branch, the workspace is also created, right? So demo workspace is created. Obviously, so to make sure everyone is on board to this, so how it works is the workspace is equivalent to git branch, right? Git branch, and repository is equivalent to git repository. So a repository can have multiple workspaces, and that's how it is working. So straight to the workspace, that's the first step. And the next step is pull the latest change into the Dataform workspaces. So first of all, checks does the git remote exist. So in our case, it doesn't, because we just created the workspace. A workspace can exist without a git remote in it. If the git remote exists, pull the git commits from the remote workspace. So why do we need to do this? We can have commits in the remote space, which we don't have in workspaces yet, if it's committed by some other person or yourself. So let's simulate that scenario where we have that case, right? So let's say instead of 111, we have 123, and we have let's say third run instead of this. And without doing any running, what we'll do is we'll push this change for demo, right? Push this change and publish this branch as well. So now the remote exists in GitHub, right? But this change does not exist in the GCP environment. So if I go here in demo, and if I go to the file that I have where we were making the changes, so which is this one, so this one doesn't exist. What should happen is when I run this now, if I go to the diagram, so does the git remote exist? Yes. Git pull changes error, uncommitted changes in the workspace warning, and then we should continue as usual. So let's see if that happens, and we'll hit something on the way which will ask us to do a push or pull as well. So let's see when that happens. So if I just like before, current file default no. Okay, so cannot pull this uncommitted changes. Now it's asking me Dataform workspace demo is behind origin by 15 commits. Running git restore and git pull to align the latest state. So obviously there's 15 commits that's there in the remote branch, which we do not have. So why is there 15 commits? 15 commits because the branch was created from the default branch of the repository, which is the main in my case. It's doing git pull. I'm gonna do a git restore on that workspace that we have. Git restore will undo all these commits. So it will undo all these, not commits, undo all these changes. And then it will do a git pull to align to the changes in the remote branch. So I'm going to do a yes here. And what that should do is it should bring these changes into my space. So when I go to the workflow invocation, I should have 1, 2, 3 and third run. Let's verify that as well first of all. So I have, let's say 1, 2, 3 and third run. And in here, when I refresh this, I should have only that particular change where I have 1, 2, 3, third run, and I have no changes to push or commit because obviously, like I pulled the latest changes from my remote branch, right? So going to the third step, determining the default git branch. So the default git branch is defined in, let me see if I can show you that. So if I go back one step and then go to the repository itself, go to the repository settings, the default branch is set somewhere here. Yeah, that's the default branch. So what I'm showing you the diagram is git remote exists, and if it doesn't exist, get the default branch from the default repository settings, which in our case is main. And if it's undefined, then ask for the user input, and if the user input doesn't happen, then all that. But usually we get the remote default branch from the git repositories, default repository settings. All this is happening through the API, and we'll continue to the next step. And if the git remote exists, then we'll set the default branch to the active editor branch. So this is to make sure we have always aligned to our development branch. So this is like development branch first, is the first priority in this case. So if I just go to the VS Code again, the demo, so we'll set the default branch as this to make sure what the code we have in our git remote is always aligned to what we have in our workspace, so that we make sure we're running the correct code. So now you can see, like, with all these complexities, why this feature is a beta feature. And although it looks like it's working, I'm pretty sure you might encounter like an edge case where, oh, we didn't do this according to expectations. It's an opinionated command, you can say. So going back to the diagram here, but so far I think it does make sense whatever choices have been made. So Dataform Workspace git commits ahead of remote. So obviously there's a concept of git commits ahead and git commits behind. So when does the ahead happen? So if the current state in the workspace has committed changes which makes it ahead of the remote, default branch must determine the previous step. This should not happen as we're doing local development first, as the user has to go to GCP UI to make the commits, and they should not push them to the remote repository. So when that case occur? So if I just go to this and then go to the place here, so we have our branch here. Let's say I do a change here, which is, let's say I change the ZSH to bash, and this should now change the UI to say, okay, commit one change. So I'll say, okay, change default shell, and I commit this change. But what I'll do is I won't push it. So now you are ahead. So you are one commit ahead of your remote branch. But the problem is your local space does not know about it. This will only happen if you go to the GCP, commit something, and you don't push. So now we go here, and even if you do like a git pull or something, nothing will happen, right? Because you don't have awareness of the commit that's happening in the workspace. But if you run using the API knows that something's up in the workspace. So current file default, no. So it should show a pop-up now. Oh, there's one push commit in the demo workspace. Push it first. So if I press no, this would return result in. Let's see what does it result in. It will result in 123 bash. So it just takes the code that's there in the workspace. But your local workspace does not have that code, so it's confusing on what code it is using. So what I prefer is, once I run that again, I prefer push it, because that way you'll always don't get the pop-up first of all, and then you always have one push commit and push it first, yes, and then that should create the work for execution, and you should still see bash. So when I go to the code itself, I should not see that one commit remaining or something. So let me just close these items here, and I should not see push to remote, because push to remote has now happened, right? So I should see open a PR or something. Yeah, that's it. And going back to the diagram, so the git commits ahead, yes, and git remote exists, it's yes now, isn't it? So ask if the user wants to push uncommitted changes. If no, well, it doesn't end gracefully, to be honest. The diagram needs to be updated, but yeah, so if it press yes, then push the commits and continue. And what's the next step? Dataform Workspace git commit behind of remote. So we looked at ahead. What is behind? So behind would be like, let's say if I make a few commits and push it, then if I make a few commits and push it, then your remote workspace is behind, right? So just simulate that scenario where that would happen. So let's say I go here and let's say this is fish now, and then let's go down to the file, which is this, and let's say this is 11 as test, and let's say current date as new date, right? And then that, and then feed new changes, and then commit that, and then synchronize that, and then we'll go to the nested file as well. And what happened to this file? Why is this finish bash? Let's say accept the current change, and git status, git add definitions of 500 this, git commit, and git push. Okay, and then nested data, and then let's do like instead of 22, let's do like 88, and I'll commit this as well, show another change, and then push this as well, and then I'll add a new tag, so tags, and then this would be 1, so we'll execute a tag just to make sure that everything compiles. So let me make a constructor, 1 added 1 tag to nested data model, right? Commit that and then push that as well. So now what should happen is git log, we've pushed some new changes which does not exist in the workspace yet. What should happen is if I do this and run a tag and then select 1 default and then no press refresh, I should get a pop-up. I think I should say that I'm behind, or if I don't, that should be in the background, so I don't, right? Let's see all of our changes if they reflect correctly. So nested data, this one we made a change called 88 which came through here, and 0400 test we made added this current date which came through here, and fish shell and all that came through here. So if we go back to our diagram, see if that's what, so if the commits were behind, yes, restore workspace changes, do I commits behind? Yes, restore workspace changes. Why wasn't I asked to restore workspace changes? Because I don't have anything that is change that exists. I think that's the problem. So okay, so to simulate that again, what I have to do is I have to make a change here in one of these items. Let's make it 77, and I will run this model now. So run file, I'll run the current file. So this would put the 77 in the workspace, right? This would put the 77 in the workspace. Now, let's say I commit this. So chore make nested 77. And let me commit that and then sync changes. Now 77 is there, but it's uncommitted there. But I have committed and pushed here. So if I just do that now, where I run the tag, not nested, I think I messed up. Cancel. Just make sure I run the 1 tag, right? So run a tag 1 default. So now I should get the pop-up. Yeah. So demo is, the workspace demo is behind origin demo by 1 commit. Run git restore and git pull to align to the latest state. Yes. So for most parts, you don't have to really think before pressing yes, because works have designed in a way which will make sense to align with the local development, right? But I'm showing you each step of the way how the decision making is being done. So yeah, so it's completed, is done. I think I can go here and check. Yeah, so nested data 77. Do we have 77 here? 77, and we should have the pull happen as well. So that's what is done. So it's done. Okay, do you want to get restored? Yes, we press yes. Perform git restore, and then does the git remote exist? Yes, and then pull the git remote, good commits from the remote. The next one is the core to how the synchronization itself happens. So what this convoluted diagram, which is not really convoluted, if you ask me, does is it takes the local changes, whatever the local changes is. It says, is the local change of the file, state of the file, added or committed, then added or modified, then it writes to the workspace. If it's deleted, it removes from the workspace. And it checks for the same thing for the remote workspace status too. Is the file deleted in the remote workspace? If it's deleted, is it also deleted in local? So we have to make sure that they should both be the same. So we are doing local first development. If there's no deleted in local, it means that if you change your mind into a git restore after deleting, then it's deleted in remote workspace, it's not deleted locally. You need to bring it back to life. So in that case, I'll write the local contents of the file to the workspace. If it's altered or modified and there's no local state change, then you write it again, right? To make it synchronize, to make sure that it's synchronized to the local state itself. So yeah, that's a summary of this. So as you can see, like throughout the demo, it does a good job of aligning to the latest state of the local local code editor. So this is an alternative to using the Run API itself, for which you have to push every time before you test it. So yeah, give it a try and let me know if you find any errors. Happy to make any tweaks based on the feedback. Thank you.